Hi everyone, welcome. Today I'm going to talk about harnessing AI for inclusivity, empowering libraries to serve diverse communities with AI tools and robotics. I want to thank the Gale Conference for letting me talk about AI today. A little bit about myself. I'm Jennifer He. I have 15 years of experience working as a web designer and UX specialist for higher ed, libraries, art institutions, and nonprofits. I have experience teaching technology classes to both students and librarians. I'm the current New England Library Association Vice President, and after October of 2024, I'm going to be serving as president. I'm also the founder of WebGlue AI, which is a company that teaches students to use AI tools, and we also offer comprehensive web design packages. So, welcome. Do you know that AI technology is available in your pocket? Mobile devices have a lot of AI built into them right now. We see facial recognition AI technology, speech recognition technology, AI infused apps, social media apps, and GPS. So when I'm talking about accessibility, I'm talking about accessibility for being able to help people of all different abilities, um, expand what they're able to do using AI. But then we're also talking about it in being highly accessible to the public, meaning, really readily accessible and available. And so, one of the questions that I wanted to ask everyone is, do you know what is the most common type of prompt that users are submitting into ChatGPT? And when I saw this question, I thought it was going to be something like writing a poem or, asking some sort of like basic question. So I was really surprised to learn that more than 30% of all text prompts being asked or, put into ChatGPT are programming related questions. And so it's like computer programmers asking ChatGPT to create some sort of coding for them. And so it's really interesting to think that ChatGPT is really being used readily for that, particularly since programming, um, in order for programming to really work, it has to be, like bug proof, and it's a very, very, very sophisticated. It's really easy to mess it up. And so another interesting thing about this is that the success rate of the programmed answers that ChatGPT is producing actually aren't that high. And so it's interesting to think that computer scientists are still using um, the ChatGPT answers, programming answers, although they're not always perfect, but they still have some sort of value because otherwise I don't think people would be asking for them so much. So today's agenda, we're gonna do a basic introduction about AI. Then I'm gonna talk about some AI tools that I would recommend for teaching AI to patrons at the library. So some of them are like AI simulators or demos. I typically tend to lean towards the free tools and tools that are like very easily accessible. And then I'm going to talk about some AI tools to create a more inclusive library space as far as like services and programs go. Then there's a lot of really fun and exciting AI robotic tools that potentially could be used for the library. So I'm going to talk a little bit about those. Then I have some AI infused creative projects that I want to share. And then, of course, we're going to wrap it up with like a Q&A and a way for you to get in touch with me if you would like. So for the introduction, we're going to talk about basic definition of AI. How does this AI technology work? General versus narrow AI. And of course, we're going to talk about some of the pros and cons of this technology. So one of my favorite definitions of AI is really simple. It just says artificial intelligence leverages computers and machines to mimic the problem solving and decision making capabilities of the human mind. So some examples of this that we're probably all familiar with are self-driving cars, natural language processing tools, like what we see. Google has a couple of really great translation tools where you're translating from one language to another. We are seeing a lot of AI sort of invisible in online shopping platforms and social media. And how that works is the AI algorithm is able to see what kind of content a user is interested in and then suggest content that's related to the content that the user is already interested in and kind of like suggest more content to them. So general versus narrow AI. I really like to talk about this a lot to kind of give people a sense of like where we're at with this generative AI. When we talk about general AI, we're talking about something that we're thinking about a bit more in the future. When we think about, let's say a robot that's very, very smart and is able to have like a human-like intelligence, an ability to like really reason and understand and transfer learning and all of that. So I kind of think about like R2D2 or C3PO, and we are not in that world right now, and there are different reasons for that. Some AI engineers say that one of the things that's sort of holding us back is that AI doesn't really have what we would consider like long-term memory in the true sense of long-term memory. And another, sort of conjecture is that the amount of energy we would need to create a more human-like AI intelligence would just be huge. So right now with this generative AI tools, this is falling more in the narrow AI category, which means that the narrow AI is an algorithm that's designed for specific tasks or domains, and it excels at those tasks, but it cannot, or it's like lacking the ability to make content that's like has broader capabilities. And so one example that I kind of give, which I don't think is a perfect example, but I think it can help people sort of have a better understanding of this, is I think of like a calculator where the calculator is really great at solving math problems, but you can't really ask it any other question, right? Um, and so of course it's lacking in like common sense. Its information is really domain specific, and of course we know that it doesn't have the ability to really reason or make like ethical decisions. Has limited creativity, and all of that. So it's heavily reliant on humans to not only like create the prompts, but then also analyze the content that's produced afterwards. So how does this technology work? Um, so first we have to think about this as, it's taking large data sets and turning those, using the data sets and making an algorithm so that we are actually able to perceive the environment, detect patterns in it, and then we're updating the understanding and making decisions based on the patterns that's detected. And so an example that I really love actually comes from this video that's you can find it on Google's AIY website, where there's these two software engineers and they're talking about how does AI algorithms work, and they basically bring up this idea of what if we created an AI to detect dog faces so that we could build like a dog door that was very sophisticated, and it could let your dog in but like not the neighbor's dog in. So in the beginning we create an algorithm that's detecting animal faces, let's say, and first it's able to distinguish between an animal face and like leaves, rustling past your door. But then over time it's getting better and better, more sophisticated, and it's actually able to decipher or discern between your dog and like the neighbor's dog, and is able to only let your dog in. And so, sort of the crux of this is that we're actually able to solve real world problems using this AI technology. So I think right now some of the cons of this technology are really coming into the forefront, both for in the like in media and also just in other ways. Of course, there's huge pros to the technology. Some of them are it's highly efficient. There is an ability for automation. You could reduce human error, although of course we know that the content that's produced itself is not perfect. Like I said, it's able to provide solutions to world problems. There could be an improved decision making ability because AI data sets are built. AI algorithms are based off of data sets. It's really, really good at making predictions. There's a cost savings potential there, and also a limited creative potential. But then, of course, we're also seeing cons, and I think librarians that are conservative about this technology and have concerns are right in that assessment. We see that the content that's produced is not always perfect. There are, of course, privacy concerns. There's job replacement issues. There's issues with the content producing misinformation. There's definitely copyright concerns. There's potential bias or safety and security risks. We're also seeing with some of the new robotics that are coming out into the market that there's an ability, you have to think of it as like an Alexa, where it could listen in on people and become, like a data sort of like security issue. So, we're seeing this more and more. One thing that's kind of interesting, a sort of fun fact about these AI tools is, you know, I keep seeing people asking me, like, why is it that on a Monday I ask an AI tool to do this specific task? And it gave me a pretty good answer. But then the following day, I asked it this very same question and it gave me like a really bad answer or a wrong answer. And so, people were asking, is this like there's too many people on the tool? Like, what's going on here? And really, with the AI algorithm, we have a built-in, it's called temperature, which is an amount of variation or creativity that's being built into the platform. So that's why you're getting different, content on every single time you run it. And so, sort of the advantage of this is that if you keep running or keep generating a prompt, you could end up with some really great answers. But then be mindful that it's not always, consistent, and that's actually the way it's been designed. I really like this chart about AI technology expectations because I feel that right now AI is really falling into both the peak of inflated expectations very strongly and also the trough of disillusionment. So, what's going on here is this is called the Gartner hype cycle. We have five distinct phases of technology, and technology typically runs through all of these phases. And what happens is at the beginning, at a technological like innovation advancement, where it's like, first kind of making it into the market, typically expectations tend to be really, really high. And so we saw this with like chatbots. People were really excited and thinking, oh, I really can use this chatbot, to answer a lot of like customer service questions. But then they realize, oh, the technology is not as good as I thought it would be. And so we would enter a trough of disillusionment where people would be really frustrated and not happy with it. What I've noticed with AI is that a lot of the disillusionment isn't necessarily because of the technology itself, it's more the ethical issues around the technology. And so it's sort of been interesting for me to sort of see that. Of course, the content produced by AI, generative AI, it can be wrong, and so I definitely see some disillusionment with that. But it tends to typically be a little bit more like the ethical concerns that like artists have right now about copyright issues and all of that. But one of the reasons why I want to show this chart is because over time, as technology gets better and better, and as some of those kinks are worked out, and in the case of AI, it might be a lot of like legislation that's occurring. We also see with like AI deepfakes that there's a lot of legislation that should be happening to protect users from being scammed. At some point, we should be entering more of like what we'd call the plateau of productivity, where the AI technology should really be helping us, and we should be able to kind of have it like in our workflow more. And we should be kind of getting a little bit more and more past that disillusionment phase. So, what are some best practices for these AI tools? So, first, I would encourage people to sort of understand how the tool works or the goal of the tool, because it can be really frustrating to try to make any technology really do something that it can't do. I would also recommend being very specific when writing prompts. We encourage people to not ever enter sensitive or personal data into any AI tool. And the reason being is because it is saving something. Um, every single time something's being iterated, the tool itself is like saving some sort of like copy of that. We know that, which actually could be retrieved. Theoretically, it could be retrieved. So we are recommending people not to enter sensitive or personal data. Have realistic expectations and understand that no AI tool is perfect. Test and, reiterate. Because like I said, every time you make a new generation, you could end up with something even better. Be aware of ethical and legal considerations. A lot of the tools, the content that's produced is a Creative Commons license, but some of them actually aren't. And so you have to read the fine print. Some of them you're sharing copyright with the actual company that created the tool. And so I would, really encourage people to be paying attention to that part of it. Be intentional about the amount of content you create. These tools create a lot of content really fast, and so you could be swimming in way too much content and not saving yourself time. Another thing I really recommend people to do is try to avoid what I would call AI creep, which is using 1,000 different AI tools for 1,000 different things. It doesn't really make sense. So if you're looking for one tool to kind of do a little of everything, I would recommend ChatGPT. And if the task is too complex and you want a really fantastic, like premium result, it's always better to outsource to a person rather than an AI. So now we're going to talk a little bit about using AI tools for library programming, particularly for like demos and simulations. So some of my favorite tools for teaching about AI technology to adults and children, there's this one website called Teach a Little Machine, and it's one of the easiest ways to teach a computer how to recognize objects with AI, and it's like teaching you how this technology works. This website called TensorFlow is an open source software library for machine learning. We're actually creating neural networks in a user's browser. This is more advanced. I'd recommend this more for like high school or college age students. Raise AI Playground is very reminiscent of Scratch, and then it has like those block based like code style um, platforms. So if a child's already used Scratch, they'd be very familiar with Raise AI Playground. And so it's an MIT project that's like teaching AI with the code blocks. And then another one's called Cognimates. It's an AI playground, and they have like an AI like infused part of that program. So then there's also some robotics on the market right now that are helping to teach AI technology. One is made by Google, and it's called AIY. They have a website, and they have these kits which are like these open-ended maker space kits. They're really adorable, and they're like made with cardboard. But you can actually they let users decide how they want the AI to work, and so I really love that it's open-ended like that. Lego Mindshares is going to have AI infused Lego builds in the future, which is really fun, particularly for, all those like Lego clubs and, um, for children who are already using Lego to learn about, building and all of that. So it's really fun to think that, they're going to have this like AI infused part of it. And then Ozobot is a coding robot that's been out on the market for a while, but they're going to have like an AI, um, functionality. And then another one is called Cosmo, which is another AI robot, but it is a robot that has emotions, and it's really fun to think about whether AI could actually really have emotions or not. So some tools, AI drawing tools that I think are perfect for demos. There's one called Quick Draw. It's a free tool developed by Google. And basically what happens is as you draw a little doodle into Quick Draw, the AI is supposed to guess what you're drawing. It's not always right, which I think is actually perfect for demos because it's perfect to teach people that AI isn't always right. Another tool that I really love is called Auto Draw. Again, it's letting users doodle, and the AI is supposed to guess what they're drawing and complete the picture. And again, you can see kind of the pros and cons of AI by using the tool. And this is another tool that's developed by Google, and it's free. So then there's another tool, it's called Google's FX image generator. So Google has a test kitchen, which lets users experiment with generating images for free. I really love this image FX because it's giving people the ability to really experiment with how the images are generated. So it's saying, oh, would you like this image? Like, what would you like this image to be about? And then, would you like natural light? Would you like it to be surreal? Would you like it to be in watercolor? Where some of the image generators out there, like Midjourney, they're really letting, like, use leaving it up to the user to decide what kind of style they want. But this one, not only is it totally free, but it's kind of like giving style options to somebody so that they can like play around and experiment with it. Another really fun tool that I love that again has been developed by Google and it's free. It's called Instrument Playground. It's letting users create music by specifying what kind of musical instrument they want, and then it's using AI to create like a sound bite, and then users can download it. Another really fun website that again was created by Google and it's free It's called a thing translator. And what's happening here is it's turning your computer or mobile device, it's actually using the camera to identify. So it's using AI to identify what the camera sees. So it's really great for demos. And if you press the launch experiment button, it will like immediately happen if your device has a camera. And so like what would happen in my case is it wouldn't probably see me because my computer's camera would see me immediately, and then it would start trying to label myself. And then there's a get the code button, so you can actually for free embed this onto a website or an app. So it's really fun to think about if your library has like a digital makerspace or a part of the library's website where it could let users, kind of like play around with this. This tool is really interesting. It's called Masuku, and it's one of the most advanced AI chatbots that's on the market. You can sign up to talk for free. One of the reasons I love this is that it's very accessible and that it doesn't just have a text option. It also has a voice option, so you could speak into this chatbot. You can play games and learn new things, and it also works on Discord. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about some AI tools for creating inclusive library spaces and programs. We're going to talk about some tools for makerspace, writing support, ELL support, support for like dyslexia and reading, and then we're also going to talk a little about visual and mobility support. So starting off with some of my favorite AI tools for makerspace. There's a way for people to actually be able to build their own AI infused personal assistant robot that has AI in it using Python and Arduino kits. Then there's a number of AI infused robotic kits that are being like crowdsourced right now. You can buy them and people can build them. And then Canva Magic Studio, in case somebody's not familiar with Canva, it's like a free graphic design tool online, but they have a lot of AI functionalities been built into the tool now, and it's you can sort of design almost anything. And then they have like a Magic Write and Magic Design tool that has AI, so it's really fun to play and explore designing different things with AI. Then because I know that makerspaces love using Perler Read projects, there's actually a tool online that's free. It's called Yes Chat Perler Bee Designer, and it's a free tool that's using OpenAI to create Perler Bee designs based off of text prompts. You can actually upload an image, and it will create like a graph telling you all the bead colors. It's really cool. A couple other tools I love that I actually use all the time in my own web design work is this one tool called Humint, and it's a free AI infused color palette generator. I really also love Font Joy, which helps create font pairings using AI. You don't just need to do font pairings for web design, you can also do it for like any graphic design project. And then there's another tool that I really love. It's called CF Spark. It's developed by Creative Fabrica, and it's a suite of AI tools used for sketching and patterns. And this actually is not free. It costs a little bit of money, but I really love it, particularly for a makerspace because it has so many different drawing tools. And actually, this graphic of a sheep was created with their sketch tool. Then there's a really cool tool that's coming out to the market called Deep Think. I actually found this on YouTube, and it's supposed to be an AI brush that's designed particularly for art therapy. So it's supposed to let users like create a drawing or a picture, and it's supposed to interpret the picture and kind of say like what they think the user's emotions were and all of that. For now, though, I would recommend AutoDraw, which I already talked about, or Midjourney. Midjourney is a more advanced image generator. You could use that for art therapy. There's another tool called Canvas by NVIDIA, and it's taking simple brush strokes and turning it into like more sophisticated landscapes, and you can use different styles. There's another tool I really love called AI Comic Factory, and it's going to create a whole comic strip of images based off of a single prompt. And then also, as a fun fact, OpenAI is going to create a new tool called Sora, which is going to be able to turn text prompts into video. And so we are, kind of in a world right now where we're seeing how AI is all of a sudden becoming like much more advanced. It's not just about images and text, but it's actually going to be able to do more animation and video. This website I really love for libraries. There's a website called bookclub.ai, and has some web-based tools for book recommendations based off of users' text. And it has this really, really fun mind mapping tool where you can put like books that you love or specific genres that you love, and it creates like a whole mind map. And I really love this tool. It's free, and I would recommend it for book clubs. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about some tools that could be used to help with like writing support. There's this one tool that called Quill. This is actually developed by a nonprofit organization and has a whole bunch of free literacy tools to help students be better writers and learners. And it is geared towards students that are really struggling with writing. Maybe they have a learning disability and it's supposed to help them with making writing easier. So then, of course, Grammarly has a lot of AI infused tools like grammar checker and plagiarism support. There's another one called Hemingway Editor. It's a free app and web-based platform that helps with writing. Notion AI is really great for taking notes. There's another tool called Audio Pen, which is a free audio to text transcriber. And we're seeing a lot of these text transcribers on the market, which are really fantastic for transcribing meetings and also making video content more accessible. There's another one called Google Live Transcribe. It could transcribe classroom lectures live for free. And then, of course, I still recommend Google Translate because it's one of the best free multilingual translation tools with AI. And then, just another thing for people to be aware of with AI plagiarism checkers, they claim to be very accurate, but testing shows that um, there's like about around a 30% inaccuracy rate. And so, for teachers and professors who are concerned about this, we recommend developing strategies for teachers where they're keeping students held accountable, but not relying solely on AI plagiarism checkers. So then there's a lot of really interesting tools that are using AI for dyslexia and reading support. There's one tool called Natural Read, which is an AI infused text to speech tool, and there's a free trial. Another one called Speechify, which is a tool that helps read to users. 11 Labs is a tool that converts text to speech with a free web-based generator, and there's a free trial for this. There's another tool called Diffit, which is really interesting because it's able to take text and sort of translate it to different reading levels, which could be really helpful for teachers. And of course, it has special pricing for schools and educators, which is really awesome. So then we're seeing a lot of tools hitting the market right now that are developed specifically for children. This one called Microsoft's Reading Coach, I was so fascinated by it. Basically, what happens is it's totally free. A student can read into this tool, and it could be a story that they choose. But there's also another mode where it lets a student or a parent or teacher upload their own content. And basically, what happens is the student is reading into it, the tool, and the tool actually is able to decipher and give you like a little bit of a report card and tell you how you did reading. So this could also be used for ELL too. And then it actually tells you what words you need to work on in the future. So I was really fascinated by this and was surprised it was actually free. There's another tool I really liked, was called Teddy.ai. This is actually a free app and it's a conversational study buddy for kids. It has like emotion regulation feature, executive functioning, games. So I thought this was really interesting. So then I wanted to talk about some tools just sort of for general technology support, and building websites and apps. So here are some of my favorite tools that are using AI. I really like Chat PDF because you can chat with any PDF document to quickly search it. There's also an AI answer generator website which you could use for answering basic technology queries. I really love the website UWizard. You create quick designs of websites and apps, like prototypes, and you can do different things with UWizard. I have to be honest though, the second you get into a more broad task, you have to be prepared to do a lot of work. It's just going to give you sort of like a bare bones, but I think for like a basic prototype, it actually does a pretty good job. There's another website called Rose AI, which is a tool to help analyze data, which is really interesting. Then there's another website called CodeWP, which generates code for building WordPress websites. Framer.ai is another website I really love, which is able to build websites in minutes. Another tool is called Locify.ai, and it's front end development tools. And there's a free version. So if you're doing a lot of front end web development, I would definitely recommend this. And then there's another tool called AppyPie's Accessibility Checker, which is an AI website accessibility checker to check for website compliance. It's free, and I do recommend this tool. So then this website's really interesting. It's called Speak and Improve, and it's totally free. It's an English speaking partner. It's designed by the University of Cambridge. And what happens is you speak into this website, and it's supposed to, speak back and give you questions, and then supposed to help you kind of improve over time. So I thought this would be really great for ELL. Um, and then also just talking more about the multilingual translators, DeepL is one of the best. And then there's another program called eDrawMind, which is actually a brainstorming tool, but it has a multilingual translator built in. So I really think this tool, eDrawMind, would be fantastic for ELL. So here are some AI tools we'd recommend for visual support. There's a free tool called Lookout. It's a Google app and it's for vision support. There's another one by Microsoft called Seeing AI, and it's supposed to help. They market it as called the talking camera for the blind, but it's supposed to be able to read text out loud. There's another one called Beeline Reader, which is supposed to make reading on digital devices faster and like more easy. And then, of course, there's an article from Perkins School for the Blind recommending Google Lens, which is supposed to help users search and identify what they see. And so we are seeing more and more tools, AI tools, um, along the lines of helping with accessibility cropping up. And so it's really exciting to see what's going to happen with these tools and like how it's going to help people with disabilities in the future. Um, we're also seeing tools for working to help with working, particularly people who might struggle with, maybe they're neurodiverse, and so that's actually Goblin Tools was developed by a computer programmer who identifies as being neurodiverse. And so he created, it doesn't look super sophisticated, but he created a website which has some tools that are supposed to like either break things down or estimate how long a task might take. And so it's really interesting. Another tool I would recommend is called Brina. I believe this one costs money, but it's marketed as a personal assistant that's using AI to help with productivity and accessibility. It has a dictation software and text to speech functionality, and so it's really interesting. So then there's a tool called Sesame Enabled. This actually has both free and paid versions, and it's supposed to help with mobility support. So it sort of has like that touch-free control of mobile devices, and it's using AI to um, to make that software possible. So this tool, I found it very interesting. This is not particularly accessibility tool, but I thought it would be interesting to share it for librarians who may be interested in this. There's a website called MyHeritage AI Tools. They have a genealogy app, and as a part of this, they have like an AI time machine. I think it's supposed to be kind of like recreational or entertaining, where you can create an AI historical avatar of yourself and kind of see yourself at in different times. But then they have something that's called an AI record finder, which is a little bit more serious. It's using AI to help locate historic records or help you create like a more detailed biography of your ancestors with AI biographer. And so it's really interesting to see how AI might start shaping the landscape of these like heritage ancestry tools, genealogy. So I really wanted to share this. So then I want to talk a little bit about how you could just use ChatGPT for creating a more inclusive library space or with programs. And so some example prompts would be you could ask ChatGPT to create a sensory friendly story time for young children with diverse educational needs. If you ask ChatGPT to create a large print resource of, basically anything, ChatGPT itself does not produce anything in like larger print, but what it does do is it writes text that's more concise so that you could actually put the text into um, a graphic editing software like Canva, let's say, and then you could enlarge the text. Another thing you could do is you could say, like, please create a list of resources for a patron who is trying to find a job in like whatever industry, but who also has ADHD. And so what it would do is it would create the list of resources, but it would do it in a way where it'd be like maybe more concise or would be more specific about instructions. This was really interesting to see how ChatGPT can make, different tasks more inclusive for different types of patrons. And then I would just want to talk a little bit about, what is an AI hallucination? And an AI hallucination is when a tool makes up an answer that's inaccurate, but it is creating an answer that seems really accurate. And so that's why we are encouraging librarians to educate the their patrons to always question and verify the answers that are being created by generative AI because the answers really really might seem plausible and it might even insist that it's true, but it doesn't mean that it's correct. It could just be hallucinating. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about AI robotic tools, again, for creating inclusive library programming and spaces and services. And this is actually a really, really exciting area right now because there's really awesome AI tools for working and studying that are actually quite cost efficient. And then we're going to talk more about robotic pets, which is a super, super fun area, and some other robotic tool. So there's a whole group of AI robotic personal assistants. It's like a little desk assistant that could like sit next to you. Um, and they're actually dropping down in price. I would say like around $200, depending. Some of them can get a little bit more pricier. One that I really like is called ClickBot, and it's a robot that performs functional tasks. It's very programmable and it comes in many different designs. There's another one called Kiki, which is a robotic pet that's supposed to grow with you and care. Emo is an AI desktop pet with a personality, and then Luna is the smartest all-day AI assistant. So what's happening here is you could almost think of it as like an AI robot that has like a chat, some sort of like chat GPT functionality built in, but you can talk into it just sort of like how you could talk into Alexa, right? And so I was sort of thinking about this in, wouldn't it be awesome if a library could invest in some of these AI robotic personal assistants and offer them, either circulate them in the library or, have them in like a library of things. I do think it's important though to recognize that there could be a privacy or like a security issue there where the robot could like listen in. And so when librarians have asked me about this, particularly like the legal concerns, I would say, yeah, if this was a thing that a library was considering doing, I would definitely recommend like a disclaimer um, because of the potential security and privacy issues there. Along the same lines, we're seeing a lot of AI robotic pets on the market. One is called the Mouflin. I don't think it's available for purchase yet, but it is projected to be available. It's supposed to be like a pet that's going to form an emotional attachment to its owner, and it has like a sensory component because it's very, very soft. There's another one called Mars Cat, which is a bionic cat, and it has cat-like behavior. It's supposed to get more advanced over time. There's another one called the Sony Abo. It's a robotic dog. It's supposed to have its own autonomy and form its own personality over time. There's another one called the Biddle Robotic Petoy, I believe, dog. It's a programmable robotic dog. And then this other one's really interesting. It's called the Love It, and it's a Japanese made robot that's made specifically for people with dementia to like help them take their medicine. It's very human-like. And so an interesting sort of way of looking at this is um, being able to offer patrons some sort of a robotic pet in situations where it might not be practical. If somebody had allergies or they, lived in an apartment building, let's say, that didn't allow them to have a pet. And then, of course, libraries have always offered, different like read to a dog programs or whatever. So it's kind of interesting to think about kind of how libraries have offered patron services using animals, but maybe if that was more like in a robotic way. And then a sort of fun fact is, did you know that researchers are using AI to communicate with animals in the future? And it's really interesting to think about, um, the implications of that. So then a feature tool is called the LEQ. This is an AI-infused robot that's designed specifically for seniors to help them have happier and healthier and like more empowered living and to help them maintain their independence. It's supposed to give them medication reminders, exercise routines, video chat, life alerts, and all of that. So kind of looking into the future, when I think about, the library delivery services that typically deliver books and resources to older patrons, I think about how AI could be potentially maybe used in those delivery services in the future. Another really interesting area that AI is becoming a part of is there's robotics that are being designed for children with neurodiversity. One of them is called a Moxie robot, and it's designed to promote a child's mental health, do social emotional learning skills, the executive functioning and all of that. There's another one called Lux AI QT robot. This one's a little bit more expensive, but it was built specifically to help children with autism. It has advanced sensing and processing skills, and it also has, ability to teach children not just, educational things, but more along the lines of, how to communicate with other people. And sort of an interesting fact about this is there was some research that was done that showed that children with autism actually may engage more readily with robots than with people. So it's interesting to think about using these robots in therapy or, potentially in the future for children's services. So then we're also seeing AI infused toys. Um, this one is called the Royby, is an AI infused educational toy for kids. It teaches in different languages. It does math instruction and reads short stories. There's another one called Mago's 2XL robot. It's a robot that's designed to have a conversation with kids, speak in 30 different languages. This actually claims to have long-term memory, and it's going to be launching soon. So I want to talk a little bit more about this at AI advanced robotics. There are some really advanced robotics on the market. Some of them are on the market, some of them are more just, being designed kind of more in beta. But one reason I think about this is really to think about how libraries in the future could be using robots in their, services more. There's a this one robot called Figure One, which is created by OpenAI, and it's very, very advanced. Tesla, of course, has a robot that they're designing to perform either dangerous or monotonous tasks. And then, of course, Disney um, actually created these 3D printed robots supposed to walk around Disney parks and help guests and, improve the experience of being at Disney. And so I think it's really interesting to think about how robotics could become a part of library science in the future, whether it could be helping patrons locate books or, help them get resources, whatever it is. And then, of course, not in a way to replace the, you know, replace librarians' jobs, but being used as a way to help librarians do their jobs better and serve patrons better. So here are some really fun library programming ideas with AI tools. We have create a fantasy world with AI, a custom storybook, some coloring sheets, and then I'm going to talk about some of my favorite free AI educational tools and resources. So creating an AI infused fantasy world, this could be a really fun makerspace project. There's a AI tool called World Building that helps you create a world. It talks about the environment, character, story, plot. It's really fun. Then you, of course, you could pair this with a AI image generator like Midjourney to create a really cool fantasy world. There's also a website called AI Dungeon, and it helps you create a fantasy world, and it's actually an online game that you can play. So you can kind of build it and play it, and it's really, really fun. Um, you can also create custom storybooks with AI. There's different ways to do this. You could either just use ChatGPT and pair it with Midjourney and Canva, and you could create a high quality book. But then there are tools online that are free that kind of let you do it yourself. There's one called Book Builder, um, which is actually marketed as an educational tool. You create the book with AI, and then you can just pay for the printed book, and the printed book is like a nominal fee. There's another one called Create Book AI, and it creates a children's illustrated book in a matter of minutes. Then I love using AI to create coloring pages, and I use them a lot for, different projects that I'm working on where I have to like table for something that's child related. I love doing this. You can use Midjourney to create really awesome coloring sheets. Sometimes you have to resize it though, so there's a lot of resizers that are free online that kind of make the image bigger so that you can print it out. But then there's a website called Leonardo.ai. It works on Discord. You can create coloring pages that way. And then there's a website called ColourPop AI. It's a free app, and you can create coloring pages within minutes. So for this one, I just typed in the word library and it created a coloring sheet of a library. Then there's a lot of fun things you can do using Midjourney or any image generator. Um, you can create an art collage, paper dolls, bookmarks, board games, holiday themed printable stickers. There's so many fun things you can do. And then for ChatGPT, if you just want to use an AI text generator, you can write poetry, design knitting patterns, create recipes. There's so many fun things you can do. So some of my favorite AI tools and resources. Texas Tech has a library AI guide which I really love. There's a couple of AI directories. Top AI Tools is one that I really like. So there's one called Futurepedia, Future Tools. These are directories have lots of AI tools that are divided into different categories. There's an AI for that. It's actually a website that lets you search for different AI tools. Then my favorite free AI resources to learn AI better, there's one called Elements of AI. Um, it's like a course that you take, and the first part of the course, you're actually just learning the fundamentals of AI and more the philosophy behind it. And then as you continue, you can actually start developing your own AI using Python. Then Andrew Ng does a course called AI for Everyone on Coursera. It's free. His is a little bit different in that it's talking about actually how AI teams develop and design AI, but I really, really recommend it for people who want to learn how AIs are actually built using data sets and how they go about deciding whether or not a data set could be used for an AI. And one thing that Andrew Ng says, which I really love, is he says that AI engineers are actually never trying to replace somebody's job. They're only building AIs to perform a specific task, but never to like replace somebody's role or someone's job, which I think is really interesting to think about. So I want to end this presentation with a quote by Dr. Fei Li. She says, "Artificial intelligence is not a substitute for human intelligence. It is a tool to amplify human creativity and ingenuity." And of course, I couldn't believe um, in this more. I, of course, believe that these tools are only really here to help us improve our creativity and ingenuity and make our work better, but it is not here to replace our abilities or our intelligence. And so I always look at AI as just a tool to make my work better. So thank you so much for attending and watching this presentation. Feel free to reach out to me. My work website is info@webglowai.com. And then you can also write to me through the New England Library Association website as well. And thank you so much. This has been amazing for me to present, and I hope that this was valuable to you. Thank you.